James, how you say your last name?
Cadogan.
Cadogan.
Yeah,
Cadogan.
Cadogan.
Like Dougie.
Like teach me how to Dougie.
Teach me how to Dougie.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Let my people vote. You know that we are the voices.
James Cadogan,
That's me.
Executive Director of the NBA Social Justice Coalition.
Yes, indeed.
What's up? Thank you for taking time with me.
Of course.
Like, we are at the Utah Jazz Stadium, right? And I think about a year ago, not even a year ago, we was in Las Vegas. You said, Sheena, I'm committed to clean slate. We're going to do this thing. And your actions are louder than your words because you have taken over the stadium with an expungement clinic that you've been supporting the Utah Clean Slate. How are you feeling?
Well, I feel really good. And the reason why is here in Utah, you know this better than anybody else. This is the second state in the nation to pass clean slate legislation that will help real people who may have made a mistake, paid their debt to society, come back into the community, be able to get a job, be able to put a roof over their head, food on the table. That matters. And we don't often see opportunities to see justice and justice policy in action in a real way. And so this isn't about me or the coalition. This is about the Jazz and the leadership that they have in Utah. It's about Clean Slate Utah. It's about RASA. It's about the community partners, the NAACP here, the Black Chamber of Commerce, all those folks coming together to make a difference to their brothers and sisters here in Salt Lake City and in the Utah State. So for that reason, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I know you went to law school.
I did.
And we met when you was at Arnold. You was Arnold Ventures. You was overseeing one of the biggest criminal justice portfolios. Now you're doing this work, bringing criminal justice into the NBA arena. But what really pulls you to this work? Because, you know, a lot of times people into this work for many reasons, whether it's their career trajectory or they have someone who has a lived experience. Like, what made you so passionate and committed to continue to down this road to shrink mass incarceration?
So for me, the reason that I love social justice work is because of the impacts. But what got me into it is seeing over the course of time my personal background. I am the product of Caribbean parents. I was born and raised in the UK, spent my childhood in England, and then moved to the US when I was 14. So as a young black child and black boy in England, where we're a much smaller percentage of the population, I saw things that then when I came here as an adolescent adult and then as a man, that the same kinds of disparities exist. And I kept asking myself, why? Why? Over and over again, why? And that really propelled me to law school and then to do work in the criminal justice system while I was in law school, and then to bend my career into a few different twists and turns. But the through line is to try and answer the question of not just why, but how do we fix it? How do we make sure that the racial disparities that we see, we start to use every tool we have at our disposal to fix them, to shrink those gaps, to make sure that people who look like us have opportunity, right? And that's one of the things that motivates me. But being in the NBA context, I've been a lifelong basketball fan since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like
I see these sneakers. I don't know if they can even get these.
Hey, you know.
Like, you styling, profiling. I know you probably got all the new sneakers now that you with all the teams and all that.
Hey, it's just an excuse to fuel a bad habit.
Yeah.
But the NBA has been an inspiration to me since I was a kid. Like all those years ago, and so now to blend that work, impact work, thinking about racial justice in the NBA community and the sport that I've loved since I was 5, 6 years old, that's a dream come true.
Yeah. So, what does it look like getting the players, the teams, the coaches involved in some of these social justice issues? We saw over the last few years with the uprise, all the things happening in our communities across the country, the NBA players really took a stance, right? Lifting up voting rights, criminal justice issues, policing issues, and what really made it formulate to something real? Y'all have a whole coalition. It is something that seems like the NBA is invested in, for real. How did y'all get here, and how do you continue to get that momentum and get people involved in other teams?
Honestly, it starts from the leadership that we have across a lot of different sectors of the community. The coalition was founded in 2020 alongside the NBA Foundation as part of the NBA community's collective response to our reawakening on racial justice in America and around the world. And so to be able to have a coalition that has players, head coaches, team governors, and executives from the league office and the Players Association, that's a grouping and a collective that you don't usually see. They all came together to say that we can do something with our platforms on justice issues, that we can bring people together around the things that unite us and make progress. That's really powerful. So the reason that we've managed to sustain the momentum is because the commitment was there in the first place, starting with players and growing throughout the community. And where we are now is, like, how do we continue to make sure that we find the issues we can make a difference on and bring people across lines of difference together to push for what we think is right.
You know, the thing that I think is so beautiful about the first like big activation that y'all did was in Utah. We talk about racial disparities and how disproportionately Black and brown people that look like us, are impacted. But today, majority of the people that walk through these doors didn't look like you and I. And I think that really tells the story that this issue is not a black or white issue, or it's a Democrat Republican issue, that this impacts people across all lines, racial lines, economic status. And so, you know, do you is a story to be told coming out of Utah? Do you think that this is going to resonate with people in other areas of the state who think that sometimes it's just criminal justice is like, you know, I'm being real, like a black issue? Like, I think today really showed us that, no, out of 70 to 100 million people impacted, everyone is impacted.
I think you're 100% right. And it's such a powerful thing to see a commitment in Utah that says criminal justice is something that affects all of us, no matter where we're from, what we look like, what community we're from. Somebody's been touched by this system. And we have an opportunity to make that case, which I think is really important, that people see. Of course, Black folks are disproportionately affected by the criminal justice system, but we're not the only people who are affected by it. Right. And so it's on all of us to try and do what we can to make it better. And we saw today the outpouring of community care and concern from the elected officials and lawmakers who helped pass the bipartisan clean slate law here in Utah, to the Jazz bringing the fact that sports brings us together and people love and pay attention to what these incredible athletes do, to all of the advocates on the ground here who've spent all their time thinking, how do we care for fellow members of our community in Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, and across the state? That's the magic to me of the work that we do. It's when we get to bring all these different people together, all to try and push a mission that we care about each other and we want to see each other succeed.
Yeah, the thing that also surprised me, in the middle of the day, when I walked through those doors, hundreds of people were already walking in the doors, and today is a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
A work day.
Yep.
But people are like, this is so important that I don't want to be defined by my record, that I have to go make my way to the arena. And so it's a beautiful day, a lot of resources. I think, you know, that was something that you all are thinking holistically about the person, just not about the record getting clear, but the resources that people could tap into, bringing all those partners together. So I'm looking forward to, like, what else is going to be happening later with the NBA Social Justice Coalition, because, I mean, this is a high standard y'all set today.
Well, first, though, this isn't just us. This is us in partnership with so many people, and that's honestly one of the things that excites me most is you're here, and the Clean Slate Initiative and all the great work that you're doing, that we're able to partner with folks who know the Utah community so well. But part of our job is to be able to shed a spotlight in other places and say, hey, Utah is a model. We know that there have been 10 states that have passed clean slate bills across the country. 6 of them are still waiting for implementation, and that's going to happen. But this is an opportunity to get more momentum. It shouldn't just be 10 states, it should be 50.
Right.
So that's the thing that I think is so exciting. And for us, our job is to figure out how we help support that momentum and continue to drive it and make sure people are paying attention to good things that are happening.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to you coming to Florida.
For sure.
Florida and the state of Florida, as we wrap up, only allows you to clear one non-conviction. On the panel, I had said earlier, so imagine the impact that Utah's having, because you're clearing records, and they're clearing records of people with convictions and arrests. And so I look forward to our continued partnership. I want to thank you for the work that y'all have done to amplify and lift up the organizations like Utah Clean Slate, the Clean Slate Initiative, and the advocates on the ground doing the work, and the stories of directly impacted people, which is so important. So I want to thank you for that, and just thank you for taking time with me and all your candor. Dapper look.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all the work that you are doing and everything you've done to help fuel and catalyze this movement. So much more to do, of course, but this is a great moment of celebration, and looking forward to doing more with you in the days to come.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ren.
Thank you, BJ. Where you at? Right there, holding the time.
Let my people vote. You know that we are the vote.